Pediatric cataract is one of the major causes of childhood blindness. Delayed presentation can cause sensory deprivation, leading to poor visual outcome. Early and appropriate treatment can provide a good visual outcome. An infant presenting with cataract raises some questions. Is the cataract an isolated finding or a manifestation of some systemic disease? Can we operate directly, or do we need to investigate for specific systemic diseases before we operate? Cataracts may be unilateral or bilateral. Unilateral cataracts are commonly traumatic, inflammatory, or steroid-induced. These may also occur secondary to an intraocular tumor or an intraocular foreign body, or due to chronic retinal detachment. These cataracts may also be associated with persistent hyperplastic primary vitreous. Therefore, in patients with unilateral cataract, a thorough ocular examination is foremost and may provide clues to the underlying etiology. On the other hand, bilateral cataracts are usually due to an underlying hereditary or metabolic disorder following maternal infections or a manifestation of some chromosomal anomaly. Thus, patients with bilateral cataract require detailed systemic evaluation in addition to an ocular examination. Features such as the detailed history, characterization of the cataract morphology, presence of associated ocular or systemic disease play a key role in identifying those patients who require further systemic evaluation. This video will emphasize the key points which will guide every pediatric ophthalmologist in the evaluation of a patient with pediatric cataract. While taking the patient's history, the interviewer should inquire about the family history of cataract, history of consanguineous marriage amongst parents, history of vomiting, diarrhea or intolerance to milk, failure to thrive, history of fits, and maternal infections during pregnancy. In addition to asking for the age of onset and progression of cataract, also ask for family history of any childhood cataract. In the absence of family history, in a case of bilateral cataract, slit lamp examination of parents can be requested. Family history is important because 75% of hereditary cataracts are autosomal dominant in inheritance and not associated with any systemic disease. On the other hand, autosomal recessive and X-linked recessive variants, though less common, are associated with systemic disease. So we should remember that in case of positive family history, we must draw a pedigree chart. If the inheritance is autosomal dominant, there is no need for systemic evaluation. But if the inheritance is autosomal recessive or X-linked, then systemic evaluation is needed. In the absence of a family history, we should inquire about the history of vomiting, diarrhea, and intolerance to milk. This may suggest galactosemia. These children may also have hepatosplenomegaly and renal dysfunction. A urine analysis for reducing sugars can be a quick screening test, and diagnosis can be confirmed with estimation of urinary and serum galactose. If there is history of convulsions, we should think of hypoglycemia and hypocalcemia. We can advise serum calcium and blood sugar level estimations. A history of maternal infection or rashes during pregnancy suggests torch infection, and torch profile may be advised. On examination, cataract phenotype and progression of an infantile cataract can provide information regarding the cause. We will discuss most common cataract phenotypes and their systemic associations. Anterior subcapsular cataract is associated with atopic dermatitis. The presence of cutaneous manifestations with this morphology of cataract would clinch the diagnosis. Anterior lenticonus is associated with Alport syndrome, Fechner syndrome, and Waardenburg syndrome. Systemic findings of Alport and Fechner syndromes are nephritis and hearing loss. Children with Waardenburg syndrome type 4 have hearing loss with associated pigmentary changes and Hirschsprung disease. In patients with anterior lenticonus, we should look for hair discoloration, hearing impairment, and renal function. Another anterior subcapsular cataract with a classic appearance is a sunflower cataract of Wilson disease, an autosomal recessive disorder characterized by hepatic and cerebellar dysfunction with increased serum copper. The presence of a golden brown Kieser-Fleischer ring in the cornea may help us suspect this disease. Most of the lamellar cataracts, characterized by the dish-shaped opacities with radial spoke-like opacities, are hereditary, transmitted as an autosomal dominant trait. However, if sporadic, lamellar or zonular cataracts are generally due to derangement of calcium metabolism in the mother with vitamin D deficiency during growth of the lens. During pregnancy, maternal hypoparathyroidism can result in lamellar congenital cataracts. Less commonly, lamellar cataracts may also be seen in the genetic disorders of Bardet-Biedl and McKusick-Kaufman syndrome, which have the phenotypic overlap of polydactyly and renal dysfunction. So in the presence of lamellar cataracts, we should evaluate for family history, possible maternal and child hypothyroidism, hypocalcemia. If these are absent, in the absence of other systemic anomalies, patients with lamellar cataract can be operated without any further evaluation. Sutural cataracts are mostly idiopathic. Two very rare associations are craniolenticular sutural dysplasia, in which sutural cataracts are associated with facial dysmorphism, and the female carrier state of recessive Nance-Horan syndrome. Patients with sutural cataracts usually don't require systemic evaluation unless there is facial dysmorphism or presentation in older females. Posterior subcapsular cataracts are more commonly associated with underlying ocular or systemic disease. If unilateral, these could signify presence of intraocular foreign body, tumor, or persistent hyperplastic primary vitreous. Bilateral posterior subcapsular cataracts can be found in the systemic disorders such as Bardet-Biedl syndrome, Fabry disease, Alström syndrome, or Refsum disease. Patients with posterior subcapsular cataract definitely require ocular and systemic evaluation before surgery. Cataract may be associated with various systemic diseases like diseases of the central nervous system, skeletal system, or skin diseases. Thus, practically it is not possible for an ophthalmologist to remember or evaluate all the systemic diseases associated with cataract. A dictum that should be followed is that children with an autosomal dominant inheritance of isolated developmental cataracts need not be evaluated systemically. However, in the absence of these, a basic evaluation should include serum calcium and urine for reducing sugars to evaluate for the common treatable causes, a basic systemic examination to look for any unusual facial features, extra digits, abnormal skin, short height, microcephaly, hydrocephaly can be done, and in the presence of these, it is better to involve a pediatrician. Thus, to summarize, in this video we have learnt that pediatric cataracts could have a hereditary and non-familial basis, and learnt about the differences between common etiologies for unilateral and bilateral cataracts, common morphological types, and their systemic associations. Detailed history and thorough examination of the cataractous eye, fellow eye, and eyes of parents help to determine the etiology. Cataract phenotype per se is not diagnostic of a specific disorder but can guide further evaluation. Testing should be directed based on history and physical examination. A shotgun approach with wide-ranging laboratory, radiologic, and genetic tests is unlikely to reveal a definite cause, and an individualized approach is needed.